If I'd lost focus for a split second, I wouldn't be here today. Riding my bike, I was hit by a truck, which then pushed me onto a brick wall that I hit at 54 kilometers an hour. Laid there on the floor, I couldn't move, but I was fully conscious. I wriggled my finger. That's not too bad. I could feel my toes. That's pretty good too. And then I realized that I was unable to breathe. In the next second, blood was coming out of my mouth. I'd seen this before in a movie, and it didn't end well. What followed was a 2-hour fight for my life, as I was moved from one ambulance to another ambulance and eventually arrived at an emergency room. When one of the doctors in the emergency room screamed out to the nurses, "Prepare for resuscitation," I knew that something was not quite right. As I lay there on the hospital bed in the emergency room, a man with a large beard, a large belly, and not much hair looked me straight in the eyes as he said to me, "Your scapula is shattered. You have multiple broken ribs, and your left lung has been punctured. We're going to admit you to intensive care." I laid there in intensive care, barely conscious from the painkillers I was given, waiting for my family to arrive, thinking about what had just happened a few hours before. As I laid there on the side of the road, I remember it so clearly as a truck driver who had hit my bicycle walked towards me, and I looked through him to the other side of the road and thought to myself, if I don't fight, if I don't use every single ounce of my mindset right here and right now, I might not make it much further. I was living a good life. I enjoyed every single part of my life, and I didn't want it to end. So I made a decision at that particular point to use my mind like I'd never ever used it before. And in every single breath, took every ounce of energy, emotion that I'd ever conjured up to stay alive. 3 days later, I was discharged from intensive care and spent another week in City Hospital. On the good times, I was able to sit up like this after my ribs cracked multiple times. 7 fractures, the 3rd rib broken twice. A pipe coming in through my lung to take the blood out in the hope that my lung would expand and I would be okay. It was in this position, as my left hand was on my thigh, I started to think about my recovery. At that particular point, all I could do was lift the left hand up and rotate it from this position to this position. When I'd done one, I challenged myself to do another rotation. After 10, I was exhausted, so I had a rest. Came back an hour later, lifted the hand up, and started the same. My reason for cycling was I was trying to set a world record in 2018 for ultra cycling, races of over 1,000 kilometers each. In an instant, I'd gone from pursuing that goal to my biggest training being lifting my hand up, rotating it 10 times per hour. I started to ask myself, what if What if I hadn't have been there? What if we'd have stopped for a cup of coffee? What if I'd been going slower? And then I realized there is no what ifs. What you face is what you face. And the decisions you make decide what's going to happen in your life. Ironically, the day before my accident, on February the 9th, 2018, I posted this picture along with that quotation on my Instagram. And as I sat there in my bed in the hospital, I thought about the picture. And I also had a thought that if I could not ride my bicycle anymore, I could definitely run. And from that hospital bed, I sent a message to one of my friends and informed him that in July, we'd run across Corsica together. 195 kilometers, 13,000 meters of elevation in 5 days. At that point, I didn't know that on October the 26th of 2018, I would start my journey to complete 1 marathon a day for 30 days as part of the Dubai Fitness Challenge. The mindset controls everything that you do. When I sent my friend that message from the hospital bed that we would run across the island of Corsica in July, you can imagine his face when he saw it. But I knew that we'd do it. I also knew that when I started my marathons on the 26th of October, if I ran 1 marathon a day for 30 days, I would run 30 marathons in 30 days. It was an incredible journey, incredible highs. At the same time, when I was running in front of this iconic building with the gentleman who some of you may know, but there were times that were ultimately challenging. The pain, the mental pain, the physical pain, but it was nothing like I'd faced that day on the road. In those hard times, I asked myself the same question that I'd asked that day when I'd been hit from my bicycle. What can I do right now to make this better? The answer was always simple. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. Keep fighting for each breath and keep moving forward. We'll get there. We won't get there. When it got close to the end, on the 29th day, I even got to run on the world's tallest building. The reason why I tell you that is because it was on those days that people started to ask me, what are you going to do on the 31st day? When all this is done and you finally get some chance to relax. My answer was simple. I have no idea. The reason being is because I only believe we're able to do these things in life if we're able to create an immense amount of presence, to live right now and to live in the moment. I came up with the hashtag for my marathons, 1 marathon 30 times, because that's all it was, one day after the other. We get far too caught up in what's going to happen tomorrow, next week, next year, who's going to be where, and we forget to live right now. The last day was very special. I'd called my coach after the 29th run and told him the 30th would be the fastest one yet. Each of the runs had taken me around 4 hours, 10 minutes. And I told him the last race has to be the fastest. And as I crossed the finish line on the 30th day, we finished with a time of 3 hours, 46. It was the fastest by just under 20 minutes. Thank you. So what's really important about all of this? 2 or 3 things. The first thing is that keeping things simple is the key. A small turn of the hand was the biggest workout I could do. 1 foot in front of the other was all that marathon took. Your mind controls everything. Another thing that's super important is removing a choice. In this world at the moment, we have an incredible amount of choices. In my world, in those 2 scenarios, there was no choice. I wanted to live, and I wanted to complete my marathons. When you remove the choice, the chance of success goes through the roof. The final thing that I want to share with you is the people in this picture. My mum, my dad, and at the top, my wife. And I want to leave you with the thought that your mind is incredible. And when it's the only thing left to save you and to keep you moving forward, you truly understand the power of your mindset. Thank you very much.